All right, it is July the 3rd, 2024. And the FBI put out a warning today over possible attacks targeting holiday celebrations. And I've been hearing that. You've probably been hearing that. We hear that, sometimes, and could be a nothing burger, no doubt. But I figured I would mention it. And notice the color of the fireworks in the bottom corner there. Kind of at the bottom there. Purple and pink, Kind of like those ones we saw in I Pet Goat, too. When death touched the lady's back, Sun Tzu, who had the tiger on her back, representing the year 2024. There were purple and pink fireworks exploding. And so don't be surprised if some shenanigans go down. And if you're like, if this is the way I've treated all holidays of the pagan flavor, the Babylonian kind. And this one tomorrow is one of those as well. We've broke it down. Its origins are rooted in witchcraft. And everything about it, just like all the holidays that these Babylonians celebrate, they all produce pride and arrogance and debauchery. So my motto has been for a few years now to treat those days just like any other day. Go on about your business. And that way, if something does happen, you're at home doing chores or working or driving, whatever you're doing, you're not in those, you're not with all those people in those big gatherings where enemies of this place, these governments, would like to attack. And oh yeah, there's lots of enemies. This place has created enemies all around. I want to read Jeremiah 23 again to you tonight. I wanted to give you, in case someone didn't see that FBI warning, I wanted to share it with y'all, my brothers and my sisters. And I was looking at Beryl, the name of the hurricane, last night, and I was curious as to where in the Bible have I heard that. Let me just show you real quick before we read Jeremiah 23. Let me show you what I found with Beryl. First of all, it's the first stone in the last row for the breastplate. And so see, and the fourth row is a beryl and a shoham and a jasper. They are set in gold setting. That it's the name of that stone. But what else I found here in Ezekiel is what I want to point out to you. And I looked and saw 4 wheels beside the cherubim, 1 wheel beside each cherub, and the wheel's appearance was like the color of beryl stone. Now, as far as I am aware, beryl represents the tribe Naphtali. And I think their like symbol or whatever is a deer. And it's the color of red wine, Beryl is. Wherever you look at anything about beryl stone, you'll see that they note that it has the color, it can be purple or the color of red wine, they say. So that could be totally coincidence that the people in charge of the weather, of naming hurricanes, it could be a coincidence that they named it Beryl, or it could be just more warning, more heads up from the Most High for you to understand that outside the city, the wine press is trodden. It's trodden down. All outside the city gates. And that's the trap. Because if you can't come through those gates, if you can't come to the city, you didn't care. You chose to die, because the warning in his word has been, it's all through his word. He's warned us, telling us that you must come a certain time, you must get within those borders. It's told us that. His word has. But the majority of the people, they ain't picking up on that because they're not going hard in this word like we all should. And that's just the cold hard truth, reality. That's the problem. So and if the wheels beside the cherub, one wheel beside each cherub, and the wheel's appearance was like the color of a beryl stone, if the Most High's, because have you seen that storm? It's broken all the records. They keep using that word unprecedented when talking about it. And they've been using that word a lot lately, huh? With Gaza, with all this stuff. Unprecedented things. Joe Biden at the debate, everything. Trump being persecuted, prosecuted, all these things. And because it was the first category 4. I'm pretty sure that's what they said. It was the first category 4 in the month of June in the Atlantic, and then it became the first category 5. And it's, I don't know if it's dissipated now, but it's spinning. It was a big spinning, perfectly spinning superstorm, like a wheel. And coming towards America. And we know that these wheels, this represents the Spirit of the Most High, where his Spirit goes. And it's all about the throne, because later on, we're not going to get into this Ezekiel right now, we're going to go back to Jeremiah, but later on in this chapter, and in this book, it says that he saw a man's hand underneath the wheels, trying to catch a hot coal that came from the throne. And he touched his lips with the hot coal. One of them. I don't know if that was Ezekiel. That was one of them. But it's often talked about. And those hot coals, this is how we have to read his word. We have to understand that it's all riddles. I assure you that nobody touched anyone's lips with a hot burning coal to burn their lips. It's symbolic. This is how deliverance and salvation has been. It's been sealed in his word, for one. And what it does, the only people who are going to get this word like this are those who truly love him and they're after him. They're engaged in a lovingly committed relationship with him. They plan on being married to him and the truth and in his word. This is where we find him right now, not out here in La La Land, in the word. And he tells us that it's in riddles, and it is. So those hot coals that he touched his lips with are words that symbolizes he was going to be speaking these words of the Most High, all about the throne, that was going to just burn through the BS. And that's me explaining it in my epic dumbass terms. You know what I'm saying? If you're more educated, when you read that, you'll understand, and you can articulate what I'm trying to say a whole lot better than me, I'm sure. But that's symbolic. Just like the man's hands reaching, trying to catch those hot coals. So there's been plenty of warnings, heads up, for everyone to see what's going on. Now let's read Jeremiah, and you're going to see, by the time we get done reading this chapter, and I'm only going to read this chapter to you tonight. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory, and all esteem to my Abba Yahuwah, the Most High, our wonderful Creator, our righteousness tonight, and share that little warning with you and give you a little insight on that name Beryl, maybe, in case you didn't know. Something I just found. Let you know I love you, and read chapter 23 to you. And by the time we get done with chapter 23, you'll probably think there's a little more significance to that storm, its name, because of the time we're in and the situation we currently are in, with everything, with all the intent to take us out. There's plenty of reason these people, these other countries, want to harm this place and the image of the beast. And it's coming. So whether that's tomorrow, whenever, but you're going to see that pretty much everything that's going on right now is strategically placed. All of the names, everything being talked about, done, everything you see, it's all one big 4D chess game, but on a level that most people are completely oblivious to. But you're going to see that when we read this, just this chapter alone, you're going to see that there's significance to all these things going on. Woe to the shepherds, destroying and scattering the sheep of my pasture. That says the sheep of my pasture there at the end. I don't know why that's messed up. It's been like that, and we've even messed with it here on probably a couple of my videos. I've clicked on it, and it takes me off somewhere weird. I don't know why it's like that, but must be a glitch or something. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah, the Most High, the Most High of Yasharal, against the shepherds who feed my people. And this is so important, you guys. I hope you're still listening. If you're still listening, please stay tuned. Pay attention. Not for my sake, but for your sake, and always for the Most High's sake. But for your sake, please listen to this chapter and let me share some things that the Most High has shared with me that you might be unaware of. Who knows? And maybe you got something to share with me. Hopefully. So, and it's so important because this is what's going on. That it's going to tell you, that it's going to explain so much to you. Answer many questions for you, I assure you. Verse 2. Verse 2, excuse me. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah, the mighty Most High of Yasharal, against the shepherds who feed my people. You have scattered my flock and have not tended them. See, I am punishing you for the evil of your deeds, declares Yahuwah. Therefore I shall gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and I shall bring them back to their fold. Now notice how he's saying lands. He's letting you know that this is, he's talking literally. That's why he uses the word lands. He said he's going to gather the remnant of his flock out of all the lands. So that implies that they will be coming out of certain lands back to one geographical location. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. What he's talking about, that's what he's talking about. And watch what he says. And I shall bring them back to their fold, and they shall bear and increase. And I shall raise up shepherds over them, and they shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be discouraged, nor shall they be lacking, declares Yahuwah. See, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I shall raise for David a branch of righteousness, and a sovereign shall reign and act wisely, and shall do right ruling and righteousness in the earth. In his days Yahudah shall be saved, and Yasharal dwell safely. That's letting you know also that land he's bringing that remnant to is where the safety is, and where salvation is. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, Yahuwah our righteousness. Therefore see, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when they shall say no more, as Yahuwah lives, who brought up the children of Yasharal out of the land of Mitzrayim. Now pay attention. Look, he just said, therefore, see, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when they will say no more, when people will not talk about the day that the Most High brought the children of Yasharal out of the land of Egypt, of Mitzrayim. So, did they literally come out of the land of Egypt, of Mitzrayim? They did, right? And they came home. Okay. We just seen back up there. He's bringing them out of the lands. So this is a physically taking place, guys. This isn't a fantasy that I've come up with, some fairy tale, okay? You literally have to go to Yerushalayim. And we can debate about where that is after you come to the realization that this is not BS. You actually have to go to Yerushalayim in the end. And that's where salvation is. And this is only one spot of lots and lots of spots all through the word that says the same exact thing. And it's saying it in code too, in riddle. So you can see that there's a day coming now, and we can debate on when that day might be, but there's a day coming when he's going to gather people, and they're going to come just like they did then. But there is going to be a twist to it. But I can assure you of one thing: there is no abduction or kidnapping involved. Was there kidnapping or abduction involved the first time? There wasn't, was there? He didn't go into Egypt and kidnap them. He gave them the command and the orders and the instructions. He told them what to do. He told them, put the blood on the doorpost, get inside your house, eat all the lamb, strap your boots up tight, your sandals, have your staff in hand and your bags packed, because in the morning we rock and roll. That's what he said, and they did it. Now, they could have stayed, couldn't they? Couldn't have they? Or couldn't they have? They could have stayed. But what would have happened? They had to come for salvation, for deliverance. And look, he says, no more will they talk about the first time. But instead, as Yahuwah lives, who brought up and led the seed of the house of Yasharal out of the land of the north, and from all the lands where I had driven them, and they shall dwell on their own soil. So it's going to be an individual gathering, like that song Lightning Crashes. He says, I can forces pulling from the center of the earth again. And there's a lot of stories and music and movies and everything that are talking about that very thing, about the forces pulling from the center of the earth again. And what that means, what verse 8 is talking about, is if he's bringing them from the land of the north and from the lands, all the lands where I had driven them, so from all around the world, right? It couldn't be like it was the first time. He couldn't bring one by one with a pillar of fire and split the sea, but it's bigger. It's just as big, if not bigger than all that. Just as great. Everything about this journey is monumental, and we're doing things that has never been done. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so obviously there would be no pillar of fire. It would be just like he tells us. It's him whistling for you, and you singing that song, that renewed song of the Lamb and of Moses, back to the house, to the land of salvation. So you can clearly see that and this is the Most High talking. So whether, if you don't believe this, you're saying that he's lying. That someday he's going to gather them, call one by one. He's not going to abduct them or kidnap them. They're going to have to choose to come back to the land. Now, if you don't believe that day's coming soon, and you think it's years from now, that's neither here nor there, because if you don't desire it now and want to come now, there's your answer. This is the children of the house of Yasharal, the seed that's going to do this. So, and it's going to be so grand that they won't even talk about, and it is. I can vouch for that. It really is. It's unbelievable. It's believable, but I mean, it's just so monumental. It's just amazing. This journey and all this through this word back home to the truth of a lot of this. So it's going to be so great that nobody will talk about this anymore. It's going to be so great that's what they're going to talk about. How he led them out from all the lands, and they shall dwell on their own soil. See, soil. That means literally. And like I said, the world thinks rapture means kidnapping or abduction. Like what? What's going to happen? You're going to be sitting on your love seat and watching a movie or something, and zap, you're gone? Or when you die, but if you don't like it now, don't want this house now, you can come after you're dead? No, you have to love this now. And the whole word tells us that. That's the song. My heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man and like a man overcome by wine, because of Yahuwah and because of his set apart words. Because of his set apart words. Now, I can relate with Jeremiah here, because he knows. All these guys know. Isaiah knew, Jeremiah knows, Ezekiel, Esdras, Enoch, the Messiah, they all know these words are riddles and code words. And that's how this is hidden. It's sealed from, that's why he keeps saying they have eyes to see, but they don't see, and ears to hear, but they don't hear. Everyone's operating on the word the way they want it to be, making their own word. So that's what they're doing. So if you only use the word you want and you avoid doing what the Most High wants you to do because it conflicts with what you do, then guess what? You are saying you call the shots. You're writing your own word. You're adding to it or taking away from it. Coming to the house is everything. And if you want a little timeline, a little information on where we might be on the timeline, he said this word wouldn't come out, that no man would understand what I'm talking about the true house, the house's true location until the end days, the latter days, that we would begin to understand it perfectly. That's what he said. That's what he's talking about, Jeremiah, about his set apart words, these code words, I assure you. Because look, he says, and because of his set apart words, so what he's about to talk about is related regarding those set apart words, my friends. Yes, it is. So pay attention. For the land is filled with adulterers. For the land mourns because of a curse. And if you've been around for a while, you know exactly what the curse is, don't you? The curse is that the land is under this thick cloud, this darkness, because the enemy tore down the boundaries. It would be like if you went to a city and tore down all the city signs, like when you're entering a city and it says Milwaukee, population, whatever. It'd be like if the enemy went to Milwaukee and tore all those signs down, any sign that said this is Milwaukee, and erased it from everyone's memory. And they make movies about this. This is what happened. They talk about it. Everybody knows. The whole word reveals this secret, that this is what happened, that they tore down the landmarks and the boundaries, and they hidden the land. They hidden where is where, and they've told us lies. And it's the snare. That's the trap. Because you get the truth or the lie. You can choose. If you want to look for the truth, the true location of your house and where it is and what it is, you can find it easily. But you have to want it. And the curse is that it's hidden and that you have to go find it. And the way the new earth, the new heavens is going to be on the other side of that is going to be, we're going to be living and understanding where everything is and where we belong, our home, where our home is. And we're going to be dwelling with the Most High, with Him in our midst. The land mourns because of a curse. The pastures of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil. Their course. There's more evidence, more of these words. Their course. In Enoch, that a lot of that is talking about what I'm talking about in the end our eyes would become open to where the city is, the location of it, and we would begin to come home. But in the beginning of that book, it talks about how these stars are in prison because they failed to come out and make their in their orbit. They failed to come out in their season, in their time. That's what it says. And see that he's the Most High is getting at you understanding that we all have a orbit, a course, and we do. If we are children of the Most High, we are blessed coming in and blessed coming out. We have a home, an inheritance. That's why in 2nd Esdras he says that Esau is the end of this age and Jacob is the beginning of the age that follows, because Esau rejected his inheritance. Jacob fought for his. You have to want this. And all the word tells you that. The only people going to be saved, the only people going to be gathered are those who are mourning, who return and are mourning and love Yerushalayim. It's written on their forehead, and the Most High's name. It's on their forehead. So, and their course is evil. And their might is not right. They have no might. And that their might is not right lets you know what the image of the beast is. Because our might, our strength is when we come in and come out. 3 times a year, we come in and come out at the appointed times, that which is continual, to the set apart place, the mountain, the set apart mountain of the Most High, Yerushalayim. And that's our might. If our might's not right, that lets you know that the world thinks they have might, but they're doing it wrong. They're going to the wrong place. They think it's in the opposite direction, and they think it's that they've believed lies. They've been eating lies. These shepherds have been feeding the people lies, and it's all about the land and so much more. But the land is included. You can't exclude it. You can't say, oh, yeah, but I don't have to worry about the land. I don't have to care about our house or where it is. I don't have to care about none of that. Then obviously you don't care about none of it. Really. You just want to be cleansed, right? Like we've been reading. You just want to be cleansed at them gardens after one in the midst. You can't live like that, my friend. You have to, if you love someone, look, if you ever watch like Cheaters and stuff, where, or you see a lot of these TikToks where these kids nowadays are like doing that, where they meet their husband, or their husband finds his wife, a husband finds his wife like with this other dude or something, and he like lets her know, like gives her gifts and lets her know inside those gifts are like proof that the baby ain't his, all that kind of Jerry Springer crap. Well, and you see like those people, like you see how they lied and how the whole time whatever they were saying, like if they were saying they were going shopping or something, they were really going, and I mean just horrible stuff, and it's horrible, man. I couldn't imagine if any of y'all have had that happen to you. I mean, I feel for you. It's crazy. Well, I mean, would you expect, like when you watch that, like would you expect that person that just got cheated on to just be a fool and believe her BS where she's saying it ain't what it looks like, no, and tries to apologize because she realizes that he's pissed and gonna leave? Should he believe her and buy that? Like that would be him being a fool. He would be foolish to do that. Well, this is the same with the Most High, but even more so. Obviously, any of us who's read the word at all, obviously we should understand that there would be an imposter place and an imposter people. Because if not, this is how the Most High is going to prove everyone with the word. Because he put the word out here, all these set apart words and things in there, like, and their might is not right, to let us know that there would be an imposter, a trap, and all the people who really don't love the Most High, but they say they do, but they haven't been reading these words. They don't understand what these words are saying. And so the enemy went and built a trap. It's like a trap house, and the whole world is fixated on it in one way or the other, because they haven't been reading about this imposter, and they don't know that there would be an imposter because they don't know about the set apart words. So that part right there don't make no sense to them, that their might is not right. But if you can't say you love the Most High, but going to his house, celebrating him and his house and those appointed times, if that's a joke to you, you don't really love him. You just want to make a fool out of Abba Yahuwah, the Most High, but it's not going to happen. There's only going to be one fool, and that's you. Everyone, anyone who doesn't love the Most High enough to care, to pay attention to the details, to the little things, and they're big things. Those things are his house, your inheritance, what he has for you, the kingdom, the reign. That those waters that flow from the throne, that hidden manna, the key of David, all these beautiful and amazing things, those pearly gates, those single gates of pearl of the city, Jerusalem. He wants to give you all these things. But he ain't going to make you take them. For both prophet and priest have become defiled. Even in my house I have found their evil, declares Yahuwah. Therefore their way is to them like slippery ways in the dark. They are driven out, and they shall fall in them. They are driven on, and they shall fall in them. For I bring evil on them, the year of their punishment, declares Yahuwah. Now, like I said, who knows when this appointed time might be. And we seen it. We read it in the last video. It's for an appointed time. So that lets you know that it's going to be on an appointed time. And is it a coincidence that all those blood moons, the tetrads before the eclipse, were on the feast days and all this stuff, you guys? Everything that's happened. So, I mean, all the stuff that's happened, the fact that we're understanding it, lets us know that we're in the end days. So, is that a year left? Is there a year left? Is there two? I don't know. I don't call the shots, but you got to come now. Now that you know that we're in those days, you have to make that move now. You can't wait, because we don't know. See, we live by our steadfastness. We just come home. So on the feast day, the coming feast day, you best be in the house. The next one coming up, the next appointed time, and the next one after that, and the next one after that. You must be here. And what is it? I mean, there's probably look how many people have vacations planned years in advance where they're going to go on vacation. They're going to go to Aspen and the Caribbean. They can't come to his house at the appointed times. It's just straight pride. I mean, it's what it is. It's evil, everything about it. All their ways. It's because of these prophets. And that year of their punishment, it's coming, and we know we're right here at the doorstep. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied by Baal and led my people, Yasharal, astray. And that's what's happened, by Baal. Baal is in every one of these holidays. All the names. Matter of fact, the name Lord, if you didn't know, is Baal. Look it up. And so on and so forth. And among the prophets of Jerusalem, I have seen a horrible matter, committing adultery and walking in falsehood. Walking, keyword, in falsehood. And they strengthen the hands of evil ones so that no one turns back from his evil. All of them are like Sodom to me, and her inhabitants like Amorah. Whose inhabitants? See how these keywords, I got to remind you of this too. It's like if you're a student in the back of the class sleeping on the desk, the Most High once in a while comes by and smacks your desk, and wakes you up, because he threw that her in there. He threw her in the middle there to remind us that he's talking about the city of Babylon, the whore of Babel, the one that says she is her. They're going to him, they're like the inhabitants of Sodom and Gomorrah. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah of hosts concerning prophets. Concerning the prophets, see, I am making them eat wormwood, bitterness. And eat means it's the word. I'm making them eat bitter word that'll never bear fruit. And shall make them drink poisoned water. See, the water is the truth. But it's only because they ask for it. This is by on demand, you know. He's accommodating them because this is what they want. For defilement has gone out into all the land from the prophets of Yerushalayim. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you. They lead you astray. They speak a vision of their own heart, not from the mouth of Yahuwah. So anything that goes against the mouth of Yahuwah is how you distinguish between who is telling you what the Most High is saying, who's speaking his words and who ain't. They keep on saying to those who despise me, Yahuwah has said, you shall have peace. And to all who walk according to the stubbornness of their own heart, they say, no evil comes upon you. So, he said, don't listen to the prophets. The prophets lead astray. They speak a vision of their own heart, and it ain't from the mouth of Yahuwah. And what is that they speak that ain't from the mouth of Yahuwah? They say that Yahuwah has said, you shall have peace. And to all who walk according to the stubbornness of their own heart, walk, key word, they say, no evil comes upon you. Exactly what we're talking about right now. Sure it is. And it's all about the land, you know. And coming out. This is why we get the context, baby. Right here. You can argue if you want, but you're arguing with the word and you lose automatically. Game over. For who has stood in the counsel of Yahuwah and has seen and heard his word? Who has listened to his word and obeyed it? See, that's what this is all about. And his word tells us we must come in and come out in order to be blessed. And if we don't, we're cursed. The land it's cursed. It's been under a curse. But his word, when you understand that you must obey it, if you love him, you don't have to. Like I said, he's not going to force you. This is all about free will. You have the choice. You can choose whether to live or die. Choose this day. And you don't call the shots. You can't say in your head like, well, I'll choose next year. I got stuff going on right now, buddy. I got bills to pay. I got this. I got that. No. Choose this day. You have to choose life. And once you do that, and you understand that that's life coming home, you want that blessing coming in and coming out. So once you see that, you got to start looking to see how to get there. Start figuring out. And if you're like most, if you're like most people who hopefully might come to that understanding that they must come in and come out, they might start wondering how they're going to get to the Middle East, to Jerusalem, because they believe that's the Holy Land. But that's the curse, part of the curse. One of the main parts of the curse is that that's not the place. And I got all the proof anyone could think of to ask me for. If you need proof that that's not the place and that Utah is the true set apart holy land, I got more evidence. First, I'll ask you how much time you have, because I have more evidence than you could think to ask me for. Just remember that. So, if you don't come ask me for it, how you gonna know? You ain't gonna know, are you? See, a storm of Yahuwah shall go forth in a rage, a whirling storm. It whirls on the head of the wrong. A whirling storm. The displeasure of Yahuwah shall not turn back until he has done and established the purposes of his heart. We all know what that is. Renewed Jerusalem, the renewed song, us being back, him in our midst, dwelling with him, the gold and the silver, all that. In the latter days you shall understand it perfectly. See? Timestamp for you. I did not send these prophets, yet they ran. They ran. He told us. And the one, he said, write it on tablets so that he who reads it runs. Write the vision on tablets so that he reads it runs. Back to the true home. These ones ran when he didn't send them. You see, that was 1948. All that. And that ain't, that. It's all error. Like I said, come if you need the receipts. I got plenty. I don't have them all, but I got more than you can think to ask for. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, then they would have let my people hear my words, and they would have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their deeds. See? And that's one big, gigantic elephant in the room of a characteristic that you can use. You can understand that the people he's talking about, they look like this. They do that. They are doing what he just described. They prophesied, but not from him, and they would have known what to do if they would have stood in his counsel and let the people hear his words. Well, that's what that place does. They're not talking his words. There's no salvation over there. They don't even believe the Messiah has came in the flesh, and they actually, the people that instituted that, they hate all that. It's all a joke, and this is all one big trap. That's what that is. And that's what that place has produced. It's produced evil deeds. And yeah, there's all kinds of sweet nothings being whispered in the Most High's ear, isn't there? All around the world. But that's all it is. It's the flattering of the lips. But the deeds are evil. And it all comes basically from one place. Am I a mighty Most High close by, declares Yahuwah, and not a mighty Most High afar off? If anyone is hidden in secret places, would I not see him, declares Yahuwah. And all through the word, we read stuff like this where he says they think that we can't see them, he can't see them, what they're doing. And they're not guilty because the world, they didn't kidnap them and make them think that that was the Holy Land. No. See, that's the greatest part. The Rothschilds, through the Balfour Declaration and all that stuff, the Sykes-Picot Agreement, man, we could just go on and on about all kinds of stuff, man. That back to Lawrence of Arabia and so much more. Josephus. You didn't They didn't make you believe, they didn't tell you you had to believe that was the Holy Land or you're going to die. No, they did tell you that, but you weren't forced to believe that. You believed it because they sold you. They got you on that pitch. They pitched that sale to you. You know, that sales pitch, and you bought it hook, line, and sinker. It's nothing but lies, bloodshed, unrighteousness. They leaped over the threshold. They ran when he didn't tell them to. And then after that, the 70 years, 2018, she began to sing the songs of a whore and was remembered, you see. If anyone is hidden in secret places, would I not see him, declares Yahuwah? Do I not fill the heavens and the earth, declares Yahuwah, the truth and the everlasting foundations of the earth, where everything truly sits? That's what he's talking about. I have heard what the prophets have said, who prophesy falsehood in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. Till when shall it be in the heart of the prophets of falsehood and prophets of the deceit of their own heart? If it's about doing it your way and not in it, if it don't involve doing it his way, getting on the highway, pulling it into low and punching it back to his house, if it don't involve that, you're doing it your way. You see where the pride comes in? And most people of the world, they wouldn't, if I told them what I just told you, most people would think that if they didn't get in the car and step on the gas, that's not being prideful. But it is. Just look at it, weigh it out, put it on the scale, and you're going to see that it's pride. Humility is, Dad wants me there. That's where I'm going. I serve him and fear him and love him, and his instructions, his Torah, they are my delight. Sure, I'm going to go. Absolutely. What are you talking about? I'll beat you there. That's the attitude. That's the spirit of the Most High coming home. Being blessed, coming in and coming out. Who try to make my people forget my name by their dreams, which everyone relates to his neighbor, as their fathers forgot my name for Baal, for Lord. Lord. The prophet who has a dream, let him relate the dream, and he who has my word, let him speak my word in truth. What is the chaff to the wheat, declares Yahuwah. See, and this is all about all esteem. And it's about trembling over his word, humbling yourself, face down, understanding that his word is what we follow. It rightly divides between the chaff and the wheat. We don't have to worry about nonsense, but we can't be hoodwinked and scammed by the nonsense, by the lies. That's why we can't be taking it from prophets, from these people. And how we can see what fruit we see in order to judge whether or not we should be associating, hanging out, or listening, or taking advice, whatever, following. If we see people who are not, they don't include coming in and coming out, then don't be conned by them. If they're conning you, if they're telling you to not bless yourself coming in and coming out, to not go to Jerusalem, and that we're in the end days, and that's where the salvation is going to be, and that's what the Messiah showed us to do. He laid down his life in order for us to understand that that's how we must live. We must pick up the stake and follow after him, or we die. If anyone's telling you anything other than that, Distance yourself greatly from them. Is not my word like a fire, declares Yahuwah, and like a hammer that shatters a rock? Therefore, see, I am against the prophets, declares Yahuwah, who steal my words, every one from his neighbor. See, I am against the prophets, declares Yahuwah, who use their tongues and say, he declares. They steal the words. They don't get to the real meaning of the words. They don't even talk about the words. They don't even think that there is riddles. They don't think that words like lightning and thunder are code words that the Most High uses to instruct us, that are mighty words. They're not just there for no reason. They're absolutely 100% necessary. Those who are going to live, they understand that those words are absolutely necessary, and you have to understand what they mean and why they're so necessary. You have to. See, I am against, or I just read that part. See, I am against those who prophesy false dreams, declares Yahuwah, and relate them and lead my people astray by their falsehoods and their reckless boasting. But I myself did not send them, nor have I commanded them, and they do not profit this people at all, declares Yahuwah. And like I said, you have to, with everything, even with what I present to you. I encourage anyone to come put it under the microscope and fact check everything I say. And that's the only way anyone's ever going to find out if what I'm saying is the truth or not. And I assure you that if you don't ever go look and put this to the test, you're never going to know. You will never know if I was telling you the truth. And so what you have to do, if you can think critically for yourself, you have to put it to the test. And when you do, you're going to see that it's the truth. That I ain't been pulling your leg. And when these people or the prophet or the priest ask you, saying, what is the message of Yahuwah? Then you shall say to them, what message? I shall forsake you, declares Yahuwah. So anyone doing their own thing, they're going to be forsaken. As for the prophet and the priest and the people who say the message of Yahuwah, I shall punish that man and his house. So anyone saying any of that, if they're not talking about coming home, his words, making their strength right, they're going to be punished severely. This is what each one says to his neighbor and each one to his brother. What has Yahuwah answered, and what has Yahuwah spoken? But the message of Yahuwah you no longer remember, for every man's message is his own word. See? For you have changed the words of the living mighty most high Yahuwah of hosts, our mighty most high. This is what you say to the prophet. What has Yahuwah answered you? And what has Yahuwah spoken? But since you say the message of Yahuwah, therefore, thus said Yahuwah, because you say this word, the message of Yahuwah, and I have sent to you, saying, do not say the message of Yahuwah. Therefore, see, I shall utterly forget you and cast you away from my presence, along with the city that I gave you and your fathers. And I shall put an everlasting reproach on you and an everlasting shame that is not forgotten. And trust me, that city has everything to do with everything. With everything. Verse of the day, before I let you go. Luke 9:23 and 24. And he said to them all, if anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake daily and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake shall save it. Who is he? He's the Lamb. He's the Word, the way, the life. And in Revelations, we're instructed to follow the Lamb wherever he leads us. The Word tells you to come home at the appointed times. That's why we even say the word Lamb. That's why it's used. That's why he's called the Lamb. It's the Word that guides you back to the throne. And if you're hungry enough to do that, to pick up your stake in order to live, because that's what it's going to take. But it's not hard to do. It might seem that way, but once you do it, you're going to understand that it was the right choice. And you're going to be cared for, loved, and you're going to sit down in the rain. So you have nothing to lose. I mean, you have no sweat. It's no sweat. Once you do it, you're going to be enriched and blessed and emboldened. But if you don't, if you can't pick it up. And you can't determine what picking it up is. The Messiah gave his life to do what I'm telling you that you have to do. And that's what you have to do. And if you have to give your life to do it, so be it. And that's what it's going to take in these latter days. That gathering's going to happen. And what does the people think? Did they think that they didn't have to pick up their stake and they could just sit on their couch and still enter the rain? No, you can't. You have to make this choice and choose wisely.